Hi, everyone. Welcome to Live with Janome. I'm Ann Hine, embroidery software specialist for Janome America. So, welcome to my studio and our lesson today. Let me see who's out there. I have my comments on. So, if you're out there, you can go ahead and give me a thumbs up so I know you're there. You're also welcome to share this with anyone. All our videos, all are saved are right here to the page when we get done, so you can always come back and find them there. I do move my videos over to the Janome Artistic Digitizer page, so we have lots of training videos and things going on over there. So, all right, before we get started, I want to make one big announcement. Did you all see the news, if you're a CM17 owner, that we have a new update for our machines? We have an update to 1.10, and the update information is in a little blurb on our page. There's a link you can go to the global page. You can download all the information, explains everything how to do it, but I want to tell you one thing right now. When you put, all you need to put on that USB stick, you have to format one in your computer. The only thing that goes on that USB stick is the update.bin file. Nothing else, no folders, no nothing. Don't do anything. Don't put it in your machine to format it. Format it in your computer, follow those directions, and only put the update file. So that's my big tip of the day, and you're gonna love the update. It's great. So there'll be a video out tomorrow. I'm doing a video on it tomorrow on updating and all of that. So you'll get to see that tomorrow. All right, so here we are. So with Artistic Digitizer, I wanted to go over another tool with you, and it's Stitch Flow. And I don't know how many people have played with this, but within Stitch Flow, you have direction, divide, and point direction. And these are different ways to manipulate your stitches so that you can add interest and texture to the things that you're creating. All right, so there's lots of ways to do that. And I'm just going to show you some simple things today. I know all of you are very good at playing with the tools, and you can delve into it a little bit more and learn a little bit more. Now, when I'm working and I'm creating certain things, I do hoop up a fabric and stabilizer, and I will send parts of a design over there to stitch out just to see, like, oh yeah, no, it's not working. Instead of waiting till I get a whole design created, I will go ahead and do parts of it. So let me get my hoop off of here because I can show you some things that I stitched already. So here we are. And I was working on these circle things and I was trying different ones. This one here ended up, I started stitching the second one. It ended up, the stitches are way too long. And you can see in those leaves how the stitches are sort of curved with those leaves. And this one here, these are point direction. You can put a little point in there. So as I go along, I can keep this hooped up and I can send over to my machine a little part of it. That way I can continue to work on my design. I hate to make a lot of pieces and find out, oh, well, the first one didn't work very well. Now I have to fix that one and then fix the other one. So I try to remind myself, get my general design going, but then take a moment to send parts of it just to the machine for a little bit, just to test out that area to make sure I like how it's going. So let me see if there's any comments up. Hi, Marty and Rosemary and Shirley. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see we have quite a few people out there, so that's great. All right, so let me put on my software so you can see that. And if we have any new users, we have our trial going on right now in the United States and Canada. If you needed to sign up, you have to go to the Janome webpage, and there's a sign up there for the artistic trial. If you're in the UK, they're doing theirs as well, so you can go to the UK. Other countries might be doing it. I just don't know who else, so always check with your country's webpage because that's where they'll post it. And then if people let me know, I post it to our Artistic Digitizer page. All right, so let's move into the program. I'm going to go here and open the software. There we go. All right, so let's go in. I'm going to open my browser just for a minute, and I'm going to open this up here. So I made a little sample thing, and I'll go show you how I did this. So these top ones, this is point direction, this is divide, and this is direction. And so this is direction with the a change in the density of the stitch. So that's why you can see, I want to get in a little closer here so we can see what's going on. So you can see these moving. I've changed the direction here. There's a little fold in there. So that's divide and then point direction. So you can do it in, rectangles as well. So, and you can use it with your step fills and with your satin fills. You don't have all the controls with the step fills, but you do have with the satin. So here's some divide in there, and this is point direction. And then down here, I use a pattern, and I can change the direction of the pattern. And then down here, this one here, I used, let me select that one and do stitch flow. And I did direction in here. So you can see there's a line across like that. That's the direction line. And so it made my square do that kind of thing. So you can do lots of things with this. This is with a row fill stitch. Those react a little differently. So you have to play around with them to get them, to do exactly what you want. So let me open a new page and we will play with each of these. Oh, Lisa's on vacation. I was on vacation last week and I went to see the eclipse. I don't know if anybody else did that, but we went out to Indiana. It was amazing, all is what I have to say. All right, so let me go to a new page and I'm just going to show some samples of how to do it. And then we'll go with maybe some practical uses so you can see how you would use it. So I'm going to start with sort of an oval shape here. We'll make it like that. And I'm not going to need the outline, so I'm going to delete the outline. So when I open it, it is a step fill. We can see in my properties, it's a step fill. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to go to stitch flow. And stitch flow for a step fill only gives me direction. So I can make a little line in here, and I can maneuver it around like this. I can bend this line a little bit. And you have to be careful because certain shapes, it'll bend right out of there. You can actually do it on edge to edge. If you wanted to do it edge to edge, you could do it that way as well. So let me show you what it looks like. The little X here will make it go away when you use a pattern. So let's go in here and find, well, this is one of my favorite patterns to use. And so you can see the pattern is kind of going on an angle. I'm going to open up stitch flow. And then I can put a line in here and make it go in this. It doesn't make those, it lines it up so it goes up and down. If I wanted to go sideways, I would move this up like that and I would get perfectly sideways. And then I could bend this just a little bit. Let's see what happens. There we go. So you have a neat little texture. Now, if you are creating something, even when you're editing a photograph, say you convert a graphic of some sort, maybe you're, a lot of people do their dogs and things like that. And as you create those areas, you can use stitch flow to help you create even more texture and look to your work rather than everything being flat. I mean, if I didn't do this, it would just be flat. But I could do with my stitch flow, and you can see how that's working. Now, you can make this sort of wobble a little bit. Let me see if I can make it work. Well, it really changed it then. There we go. Something like that. And it loses a little, it does lose the actual texture of this one, but let's go back and undo it back to the straight one there. And I'll do stitch flow again. So you can make these be wavering just a little bit. Let's see what happens. Yeah, see, it takes, this design really needs to, it looks like a fingerprint. It really needs I can barely see the little things happening there. So you do need to keep this one on the straight. All right, so let's X that one out. And of course, I could go side to side this way. and then I can drag this along the edge if I'd like to. So you can do it inside or on the outside, but it does change, you know, the look of the pattern of your graphic. So that is direction. Now, if I create another one of these, and I'm actually just going to go duplicate and put it over here. I'm going to make this one satin. And you can see my satin stitches are going across this way. If I want them to stay that way, I can, that's fine, and I think I will. I like to use divide when I have that. So when you have a satin stitch, you get direction, divide, and point direction. So let's look at divide. Divide, you have to keep divide on your edge. So you can draw a line all the way down like this, and it puts a little crease in there. Let me undo this. It puts a little crease in there. This is great if you have a big satin area and you still want that satin look. You can divide it up with the divide tool. If I wanted to, let's go back to stitch flow. I could actually make, oh, not direction. Let's get rid of direction. I want to go to stitch to divide. I'm going to come back over here and move it over like that. And then I can add one right to the line. I don't have to go over to the other line. So I can do this segmenting on there. I can add more of these as I go. Maybe I need one, maybe I want to curve this one. I could make a little curve there. I could maybe curve this one a little bit. I have to put this one back in. There we go. I could put a second one in. So it has the segments. Let's look back at that. So it has a little bit of texture now to it. So you have that option of changing that. And of course, you know, you do have density over here that you can play with as well. Let me show you the point direction. So I'm going to use a circle. There we go. And I'm going to delete my outlines. I don't need it. I'm going to select this. Now with a step fill, and you still get direction, so I could use it just like all my other ones. If I wanted to change the direction of these stitches, I have that option in here, like that. This might not bend very well. Oh, kind of makes an interesting thing. So let me undo. If I make this a satin stitch, I'll have two more tools, divide and point direction. So point direction, if I wanted to put a point like right here, it's going to draw those stitches down into that point like that. And when I do that, I have a choice down here of add short long. Everyone's very quiet. I just checked to see if there were any comments. I have this selected, and that means there's a little short stitch in here as well as the longer stitches. If I didn't have that, you're going to have big stitches that come in like that, which might not be great, and your machine might not be able to stitch that far out. It sees it as a jump stitch. So if you do add short long, it adds little stitches in there as well. And then if you can always move that point around. You could put it, oh, let me get it here. You can put it in the center like that. You can only really add just one point because it doesn't really make a difference on here with other points. So I can delete those out of here. But you can see when it goes in the center what that looks like. And let's take that to slow redraw so you can see that stitching. So it's going to do the underlay first. And here's all the underlay happening. I'm gonna just, there it goes. And then it will do, well, Flo, don't go and play just yet. I know, it's really fun. I mean, you can do so much with it. I'm going to show you a little design I created, but you can play around with the different things. And you can see, let me see if I can slow this down to, I don't know if it's going to slow down. So here it's making a big stitch, and then sometimes it'll make a little stitch in the middle because I've add, and sometimes it shows it in this, but It doesn't always. There's always, there it is. There's a little stitch in there. See how it came up? The little cross didn't come all the way to the top. It made a little stitch. There's a little stitch again there and there. Then it goes back to some big stitches. Then it'll do the little stitches. So that's what add short long does for it. Now, if we were going to make, when we were making, and this isn't how you would make one, but you probably could do it this way. Fringe flowers, you don't want to do add short long. You want a fringe flower all long. Anytime you do fringe, you want all long stitches. You don't want any short stitches in there. You want all the long. And of course, you still have, you know, your underlay that you can work with. All those things are available to you. So we'll do one more. Let me see if we can play with a little bit with the row fill. Now, row fill, I find it's fun. We'll go into row fill, and you can use, of course, let's do stitch flow. I do have all of my tools, and I can choose patterns over here. Let me go in here and get a little closer. And then if I wanted to do divide, let's see if I divide this. So you have some of these things happening when you divide. Divide, you have to keep it on the edge. So depending on, you know, your creases, it might make some nice things, it might not. So this is where you play. And this is where I end up sometimes. Let's see what happens when we do this. So you can see there's some lines in here. These aren't the best, but you can see that there are some lines in there. But you can play around with that part of your stitch flow. So let me delete these out of here. So in a row fill, you can use the designs here, and it puts them in rows. And then you can do direction. Maybe you need to change the direction. These have to be on the edge. And you see how it's doing it won't allow me to curve this. Let's do another, this is direction. It won't allow me to curve it. But it does, let's see what happens when you go this way. So it's starting to move those stitches and give it some different look to it. You have to play around with it. Made a little satin up there, but this could add, depending on what you're working on, this could really add a lot to your piece. So if I wanted to do a row fill with stitches, and I picked this, let me do this. Oh, let me see if I go back to this, and let me delete these. There we go. So they're kind of straight. And I could change my density. Maybe I don't want add short long. I want to keep them there. I may change the length. Let me change the length to 4.0 mm. There we go. So they're a little bit further apart. They do weird things sometimes when you, and let me make that none. There we go. So I had a pattern down here plus a stitch. Did you see that? I had C waves. So it's putting these stitches in what would be the C waves look. So once I change that to none, now I have all circles in there, and I could change my density. Maybe I want it to be let me do 0.01. Would be a few less. Sometimes it makes it a few less. And then I can play with the direction. So maybe I want them to, let's see if I can get them. These are circles, so you're not really won't see much of a change in their direction. There we go. It changed them, so they're grouping up in the corner. I can't curve it, so I'm going to change that. If I use divide and I divide this like that, this is where I did it on the other one. It does this kind of a thing. So it makes them change a little bit in here. And then of course you can change your design as far as density and so forth to fix that. So you get these interesting looks with your, with the shapes that you're building or within the shape that you have. It doesn't have to be a square or a circle. It can be an irregular shape as well. It doesn't have to be one of those kind of straight shapes. So let's go back to stitch flow. I'm going to take the divide off of there. There we go. And then if I did point direction, let's see how that works here. It's going to draw them in. So let's see if it looks like in the center. There we go. Sort of draws them into the center. And, you know, good or bad, that might not be what you want. You could do divide with that too. Let me see what happens when I do divide. This is why I like playing on the screen. I can just, you know, manipulate it and think, oh, well, that's not going to work. I don't have to stitch anything. I could just play with, you know, all of the things I want. Let's see what direction is going to give me. Yeah, not a lot going on with direction either. So there are some options for you. So let me show you here. One of the things I did is I created this little design here. And you can see I use different tools with my pieces. And I'll select this up here so you can see it. And then I'll go to Stitch Flow. Here I use direction and I bent it to follow the shape of the leaf. I changed my density to make it less dense and a little bit more airy. Same on this one. And then when I did these petals, I used the direction, well, this is actually divide. I used a divide on there to work that part. Here I used point direction in the center of that one. Whoops, let's undo that because I just took it away. Again, hang on. Let's turn the tool off. Make sure you go to select to turn your tool off. In the stem here, I did a few pieces with Stitch Flow and divide. So you can see I did a divide there. I'm going to add one up here just to give my stem a little interest and not just stitches that go straight across. We'll go down here and see. See down here, I did one there. Maybe I needed to move it down a little like that. I could put one here and maybe not there because it's making that. Oh, there we go. So when I undo, you can see that now my stem, instead of being flat, has a little direction to it. This part here is just I used my Digitize tool and I just drew a line over the piece like that and shape. I selected it and then in my stitches I chose the chain stitch, and then you can change the length of your stitch to make it bigger. I just wanted to put like a fun little vine in there. So these guys are my point direction. I'll show you those. And here I use divide to create these little leaves, and same here. So let's start with the one at the top. I'm actually going to come over here and I'm going to take my shape. Now we don't have any questions so far. That's good. I'm going to make, that's not what I wanted. I want the shape and the ellipse, and I'm going to drag and make my little oval, and then I'm going to delete the outline and just keep the inside. I want to make this a satin, so I'm going to come up here and choose satin, and then I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see it, and let's go to a different color. Let's see, I have to open my colors. There we go. And I'm trying to see which one. There you go. You can see the stitches much better. All right, so my satin stitches are going across. So I'm going to use Stitch Flow and make a crease down the center. But when I do that, let's look at that. My stitches are all going this way, and that the divide doesn't really change. Or maybe I didn't do divide because I was talking. Let me see here. Let's go back to Stitch Flow. Yeah, divide. There we go. Now it'll divide. There we go. So, and we'll come off of that and you'll see. One of the things I did with my flower is I changed the density of this just by a little bit. I think I put it at 0.02 maybe. There we go. To make it a little bit airy. You know, this kind of stitching, sparse stitching is in right now, so you can choose to do that. And then I used my array tool to create the the petals all together. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring it back to the over here to the hoop itself, because what's going to happen is your array tool works off the center of your hoop when you first use it. So I'm going to just check it here. So we're going to do circular. You can see it goes around. I only want 5 of these. So I'm going to put 5 in my step. There we go. And then I can click on the lines. The green one will turn it so I can get it where I want. The red one will move them apart so I can have them the right distance. And then I could bring them in just like that. And when I'm done, I'm going to say apply. There we go. And then I'll just move this off to the side so you guys can off to the side so you can see it. And then I created my center on there. So I can go back. I'll show you the center. Of course, we did that before. Just click and drag your circle. You can keep an outer if you wanted something on the outline. So maybe I want outline, and I'm going to do a little satin outline. And I'm going to change the inside of this to yellow, and the outside is red. That's fine. The inside, I'm going to make a satin fill. So I'm going to go to fill and satin, and then go to my stitch flow tool, and I want to use point direction. And then I'll put my point right here. And you can see, we'll go in, I'll hit select. All my little things are going inside. I could lessen the stitch on the density on this as well. So let's select it and come over here into the fill and density. And maybe I'll make it 0.02. There we go. It's a little less, maybe 0.03. Let me try that. So what I would be doing is when I do this kind of thing, I would stitch these little parts out just to see, yeah, it is the way I want it. The 0.03 for density will work just fine. When I lay this on top of that, let me see what my sometimes it will clip away what's underneath. Sometimes you don't want to do remove overlaps always, because it will sometimes cut your piece and then change what it looks like up there. And it looks like this one lost its stitch flow divide. So let's put it back. There we go. There we are. Okay, so that's how I create my little flowers and my little centers. These, I just use the same circle, and I put my dot off to the side, deleting the outline. I didn't like the outline. Go to stitch flow, make it a satin. Then I have point direction. Let's zoom way in and just put your point like right there. It brings it in. Again, you can change your density to maybe 0.03 or maybe 0.02. That's a little bit sparse for me. There you go. And I'm gonna leave it at add short long. So let's just get up here. There we go. So you have these little parts like that. Does that make sense to everyone? Hi, Anne. Welcome, welcome. All right, let me see what else I have here. I did draw this little mushroom. Natalie today did a beautiful mushroom scene. I love mushrooms. So I played around with drawing this mushroom. And when I did stitch flow, this is a step fill, and I was able to wiggle the stitch just a little bit to get it to maneuver just a bit. And it's a step fill, and it does have it has a chain pattern. And if let me see if I can move this a little bit. So you can kind of make these do a little wobble like that. See how it's kind of, yeah, you don't want to go outside. Sometimes it jumps the bounds there. There we go. We can make this one go a little bit there. There we go. So I did make a little bit of a wave in there. So I have a little bit more texture to my mushroom top. Instead of having it, if I did this, let me go back to stitch flow. If I didn't do direction and I delete this, There it is. I just have this, I just have a flat mushroom. So you either have the flat mushroom or you can have one that looks like this. And I changed color too. I think I had a different color in there. So down here, I did something a little different. I used a different tool. I have two pieces laying on top of each other, and I used the gradient here. So this one, I did a gradient of minus 350, so it has less stitches, and on the lower one, I did a gradient on the plus side for 75. So when you layer them, and if I even make the color change of this one, maybe yellow, the other color kind of comes through. So you can do shading with the gradient. We'll play again. I think I played with gradient once already, but we'll play again with gradient at another time too, so you can play with that. You can also use this with a purchase design or a built-in design. This is a design from our machine. Now, when you have a design that is already a JEF file or an embroidery file, you have to convert it to work with any of the tools. I could select this part of it, and I could try to hit stitch flow and nothing happens. It just turns it off. But if I wanted to select this part and work with the stem of my mushroom, I would need to convert it. I don't have to convert everything. I can just convert this part. It puts it back to a plain piece. Like now it's just a step fill with just a plain pattern. And from there, if I wanted to add a pattern, I could add a pattern to it. Then I could go to stitch flow, and I have direction because it's a step fill. I could change the direction of that fill in there. Let's go back this way. And depending on the direction, it does change the shapes that are in your fill. I could make a little wavy part. Whoop, kind of went out of there. Let's see if we go up a little. There we go. So you can manipulate purchase designs as well, but you do need to convert the parts. So you would just select the part you want to convert. And then I'm going to make this a satin. And when I go to stitch flow, I have all of my pieces. I can do direction. So maybe I want to make sure my satin is all going to go in this direction like that. And this one here as well. There we go. And I'll click off it. So now I made that satin stitch all come in. Maybe it's not the best look, but that's what I did. If I wanted to go to stitch flow and add in a divide, maybe I need to divide it here just to put some little creases in it. I don't know how well this one will crease. It might crease under here. I have another one to show you that will show the crease. Yeah, it's very hard to see that it did make a little crease in there. You can see just a little bit with the stitch. So, using the crease, it made some stitches go sideways. So you have to play around with that part of it. This little part here, let's convert that. It's a satin line, and using a satin line, this is really important. When you have lines going and you want to direct the stitches here, even in lettering, you can use your stitch flow tool and make your, let's see, it's all doing pretty good. This is kind of weird here because of the way it's going, but maybe I want this to be more flat this way. And maybe I want this to stretch out to there. So you can even do it with satin lines, filled satin lines, okay? Hi, Jen and Colleen, welcome. And Anne, we have another Anne on here. All right, so that's using purchase designs and your stitch flow tool. The other thing you can do is if you have a graphic that you want to bring in, I'm going to bring in this graphic, and I'm going to do away with some of the white background. I'm not going to, you can delete the white background. I'll show you where. I'm going to auto digitize it. and click OK. And then my accuracy, I'm going to leave my accuracy at 5. And my color limit is actually, if I leave the white, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. And so I'm going to make the colors 5. And I could remove the background, but what happens is there's some little parts here, because this one is inside here. Sometimes you lose things, so I can remove the background once I get there. But if I do trace, there it is, and then I can click on the background and delete it right here. I do have a little bit of a white right here in that one, so if I select the green and shift and the white part, I can right click, shaping, and trim. So what that does is it cuts around the white part into the green, so I can just delete it and have that little opening. All right, without that, if I just left that, let's undo, let's delete this. And then if I just deleted that, it would fill it in. Same thing with letters. This happens a lot of times when we have letters with insides that we convert or that we bring in. So you would just come in here, shaping and trim, click off your piece, and then delete your piece right there. It's like a cookie cutter. So up here, this is the fun part up here. I could do a lot of different things with this. I could use the outside portion of this. I could use a satin, and most of those stitches are coming in, but maybe I want to use stitch flow and add a divide right here. So I'm going to put a little divide in there, and the divide will really help those stitches to be where I want them, and I have to put that right in there. There we go. All right, one more. There we go. And I'll click off of there. So now my stitches are in, each petal like that, because there's that little divide there, which I like. I like that. This inside part, maybe I want to make that an applique. I can click my applique here. I can decide, how I'm going to trim my fabric, if I want to use a satin stitch or a zigzag, or maybe just to fix a satin. I think I want the zigzag. There we go. A little zigzag in there. So on that, let's see if we get it. We don't get any stitch flow on an applique. And then I could do something different on the for the flower in here. I could actually take it away and not have anything there, or I could put this in. And for the center, maybe I want to do, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to make it 50% bigger, or smaller, sorry, 50% smaller. So I have a little center. I'm going to change the color of that center, and then I'll make it a satin. And come to my stitch flow and do point direction right there. And then on the outer part, I could do whatever I want on that outer part. But there you go with playing with different parts of your design. Down in the leaves, if you wanted to play with this a little bit more, you could make this all satin and then play with the little parts, or you could use your knife tool and clip off your leaves so that you can play with the leaves individually. And that's working like this. It's an extra tool today. You're just going to create a line across there, left click, right click, and shape, and then select the line and shift and your shape, right click, knife, and then when you click off, you should be able to have a little leaf off to the side. Now what's showing right there, that's my background, and I have a little funky spot right there. I could fix that with my edit nodes, but then I could have individual petals and do things with those. All right, any questions? Everybody's been so quiet. I think that's everything that I wanted to show in here. I did show that and my little samples that I was working with. We'll go back to this one here, and I can take these off so we don't need them. There we go. So you can see what this looks like. But you can play with different shapes. You can bring in something and manipulate the parts of it, or bring something in as a graphic and bring it in as artwork, and then you can select parts of it and work from there. You don't have to draw things from your brain. You can use other things for your incentive, for your background. Same thing with this flower here. There's a background behind there. So let me move this. There's my background. So if I brought in a background, say I liked this, but I can't select any parts of it because it's a background, but I wanted to draw it. Maybe I like the shape of these leaves and I'm not good at figuring them out myself. I could do my Digitize tool and I could click on here and create these shapes myself. I don't have to convert the whole design because I only want the leaves. And let me go back and do it again. Here we go. I want to do a corner node up there, so I'm going to hit my shift. And maybe I want to make it a solid leaf like that. So now I've found my leaf, I can take that in other places and use it. So you can always bring a background in and manipulate it from there. All right, let me go back to the camera and we will, let me see here. There we are. Okay. So hopefully that gets you excited about using some more tools within the software. Once I discovered the Stitch Flow tool, it opened up a lot of possibilities for me. I just have to remember to think about it when I'm designing, when I just don't want everything flat. You don't want all your embroidery to be flat. You want to add a little, oomph to it. So you can do that with those tools. So I challenge you to just create some shapes, just play with it, see what you can do with it. I'll bet all of you can come up with some really wonderful things. As you create yours, please post them to our Janome Artistic Digitizer page. It's the one with the blue banner. We have lots of help there if you're struggling with the software or you need help with something or you just want to show what you made, you can post it there. We love to see what everybody's working on. All right, I'm going to let everybody go. I think we had a couple other people come in. We had Colleen and Jan show up. I know there's others out there that they're staying in the background, and that's okay. I look forward to seeing you again. I'll be back tomorrow for the video for the CM17 update. Be sure if you have a CM17 that you watch that tomorrow if you haven't done the update so you can see how to do it. Yeah, it is a think outside of the box kind of thing. It's one of those, I want to say it's a hidden tool. It's one of those things we don't normally see. It's off to the side. It's in that toolbox, tool row on the side. So, once you start playing with it, you realize, ooh, there's other things I can use it for. All right, everyone, I'm going to let you go and have a great rest of your day. We'll see you again tomorrow. And of course, I'll be back next Thursday, same place, same time. Bye for now.